Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Practical English Podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Angela. We're so glad you could join us today. In this episode, we're tackling a topic that can be a real headache for English learners, prepositions, specifically in, on, and at for time and place.
That's right, Angela. These little words might seem small, but they cause big confusion. We get questions all the time like, should I say I have a meeting in Monday or on Monday?
Exactly. Or is it in the morning or at the morning? It's a very common challenge, especially for learners at the A2 to B1 level. But don't worry, by the end of this episode, you'll have a much clearer understanding.
Our goal is to make it simple and practical. We'll break it down with easy-to-remember rules and lots of real-life examples. Ready to get started, Angela?
I'm ready. Let's dive in. We'll start with prepositions of time.
Okay, for time, a great way to think about in, on, and at is like an upside-down pyramid or a funnel. At the top, you have in, which is for the biggest, most general periods of time.
That's a great visual. So in is for long periods. What does that include?
It includes centuries, like in the 21st century, decades, like in the 1980s, years, like in 2025.
Right, and also for smaller ones. Still with in. We use it for months, like my birthday is in July, and seasons. We love to ski in winter.
Perfect. So a quick recap for in. Use it for centuries, decades, years, months, seasons, and parts of the day like the morning and afternoon.
Got it. Now, moving down our pyramid, we get a little more specific with on.
Exactly. On is used for specific days and dates. This is the answer to that common question we mentioned earlier. It's not in Monday, it's on Monday.
Right. So we use it for days of the week. On Monday, on Friday, on Sunday. For example, do you want to go to the cinema on Saturday?
And for specific dates, like the party is on October 31st, or her birthday is on the 5th of May.
We also use on for special days or holidays. For instance, what are you doing on New Year's Day? Or we exchange gifts on Christmas Day.
Good point. And you can combine them too. You could say, I have a dentist appointment on Tuesday morning. Because we're specifying the day, on takes priority over in.
That's a key detail. So in for general periods, on for specific days and dates. That leaves us with the point at the bottom of our pyramid, at.
Right. At is for the most specific time, the exact time on the clock.
Okay, so for example, the train leaves at 8:30 a.m., or let's meet for lunch at noon.
Exactly. We also use at for other specific points in time like at midnight, at sunrise, or at the moment. For instance, I'm a bit busy at the moment.
And here comes a tricky one. Remember we said in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, while for night we use at. We say at night.
Ah, a classic exception. So the stars shine brightly at night. It's just one of those things you have to remember. English loves its exceptions.
It certainly does. Another common one is at the weekend in British English. For example, I'll see you at the weekend. In American English, you'll often hear on the weekend. Both are correct. It just depends where you are.
That's a great tip for our listeners. So let's do a quick final review for time. Angela, give me a sentence using in.
Okay. I was born in 1995. Now you, Mike, use on. The film starts at 9 o'clock. See, when you break it down, it's not so scary.
Not at all. Now, the good news is that the same general to specific logic applies when we talk about prepositions of place.
Yes, let's use our pyramid again. In is at the top for the largest, most general places. We use in for enclosed spaces.
So this can be really big places like countries or cities. For example, she lives in Canada, or I work in London.
And it can be smaller enclosed spaces like rooms or buildings. The keys are in the kitchen, or he's in the library.
It also works for containers. There's milk in the fridge, or I have a pen in my bag. If you can physically be inside it or put something inside it, you generally use in.
That's a helpful way to think about it. So what about on? Moving down our pyramid again, we get more specific.
Yes, for place, on is used for surfaces. think of something resting on top of something else. The classic example is the book is on the table.
Right. It also applies to walls and ceilings, which are also surfaces. There's a picture on the wall, or there's a spider on the ceiling.
Let's hope not. It's also used for floors in a building, like my office is on the 3rd floor, or for streets. I live on Oxford Street.
Here's an interesting one. Transport. We usually say on the bus, on the train, on a plane. Generally, if it's a large vehicle you can walk around in, we use on. For smaller vehicles like cars or taxis, we use in. I'm in a car.
That's a fantastic distinction. So in for enclosed spaces, on for surfaces. This brings us to the most specific point again, at.
For place, at is used for a specific point or a location. It's about being at a general place or a point on a map. For example, I'll meet you at the bus stop.
The bus stop isn't an enclosed space, and you're not on its surface. You're just at that specific point. It also works for specific addresses with a number, like they live at 24 Baker Street.
Exactly. We also use at for general locations or public places where we do an activity. For example, she is at the cinema. He is at work. The children are at school.
This can be a bit tricky. What's the difference between in the school and at school?
Great question. In the school focuses on being physically inside the building. For example, the alarm is in the school. At school refers to the general idea and activity of being there for education. My son is at school until 3 p.m.
That makes sense. It's about the function of the place. The same goes for being at home. We don't usually say in home.
Precisely. So one more quick review for place. Mike, a sentence with in.
My wallet is in my pocket. Your turn, Angela. Use on.
Don't leave your wet towel on the bed. And finally, at.
I arrived at the airport 2 hours early. And there we have it, the basics of in, on, and at for both time and place.
You know what, Mike? I think our listeners have been paying close attention. How about we put these rules to the test with a quick practice round, a little quiz to see if everything is sticking?
That's a brilliant idea, Angela. Listeners, you can play along at home. I'll say a sentence with a blank, and you can try to fill it in before Angela does. Ready? Here's the first one. My flight to Paris is blank Saturday morning.
So to summarize everything for our listeners, just remember that pyramid. For both time and place, in is for general, large concepts. In a country, in a year. On gets more specific. On a street, on a particular day. And at is for the most specific point. At a precise address, at a precise time.
That's the core of it. Of course, there are always exceptions and other uses, but if you can master these basic rules, your English will sound much more natural. The key, as always, is practice.
It really is. Try to notice these prepositions when you're reading or listening to English, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found it helpful. If you did, please consider following or subscribing to the Practical English podcast on whatever platform you're using.
And if you have a moment, a like or a 5-star review helps us reach more learners just like you. We'd also love to hear from you.
Yes, go to the comment section and try writing your own sentences using in, on, and at, and let us know what other grammar points or topics you'd like us to cover in a future episode.
Your feedback helps us create the content that you need. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Angela.
And I'm Mike. We'll talk to you in the next one. Happy learning.